Yo, you guys ever just like roll your shoulders back and just see some possible new merch? What's going on, guys? Doe here, hope we're doing good, and today we have 5 tips for the hunting grounds, but not just some surface level explanation, although that will happen shortly, but more of an in-depth analysis. It's like the deep end out here. We go a bit deeper than that. Hunting grounds is going to be the main part of your progression in Dauntless at the moment. It is very crucial you understand how it works and you know where to get your parts and whatnot. So in hunting grounds, you have behemoths ranging from different difficulties depending on the island you're at and your progression in the game. There are patrol chests you can unlock with patrol keys or patrol caches, and these can give you rams and all kinds of other good loot you need for your progression in the game. There is also what's known as island events, which can sometimes pose a pretty good challenge for even veteran players. I think the goal here is like, you have to want it, bro. You have to want to kill it, and I don't really think you guys want it. Sometimes you might get your cheeks smitten or clapped. Depends on your preference. And last but not least, you can get gatherables such as herbs and ores. So those are the spark notes for the hunting grounds. Now it's time for the tips. And the first tip is, when you're trying to pursue a behemoth, and in this case, hard focus it, you want to get whatever loot it has and farm it up for like whatever you can in terms of gear. The behemoth in the portrait is going to be a behemoth that is sort of a mainstay on the island. It's going to always have a spawn location. If you kill it, it's going to respawn very quickly in a different spot, or in, I guess, the same spot sometimes. So if you're looking to stream snipe a behemoth and farm it specifically, look for the behemoth next to the name of the hunting ground, or for any icon of behemoth that has 2 icons. That is a behemoth that is pursuitable because it will always have a spawn location in that hunting ground. There's also a list of common, uncommon, and rare materials to gather on the islands, as well as an island event list. So look out for that, figure out which ones you like, and go ham, I guess. Alright, the second tip is about experience you can gain in the hunting grounds and to make it faster. So in general, the main way you get weapon skill experience is by fighting behemoths. When you fight behemoths at your same weapon skill level, you get 100 XP at the moment. When you fight behemoths that are higher level than you get more XP for doing so. This has a sort of tier to it though. It goes from 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 levels above you. You get XP based on however high it is above your current level. And going past the 5 level mark does not give you any extra benefit, so the goal and the sort of take home here is to not do that. Something else you shouldn't do is fight behemoths that are lower level than you. For each level beneath your weapon skill level up to 5, you will lose 5 XP of fighting behemoths weaker than yourself. And it's really not something you should do. Like, if it happens, it's whatever, but don't focus behemoths lower level than your weapon skill level. And as far as fighting behemoths that are higher level than you, it's not always the play to fight behemoths that are 5 levels above your current weapon skill level. It won't always be effective, so figure out what you got going on, alright? Fight to your strengths, because that will make it to where it's not a big deal if it's 5 levels above you. If it's a fight you know really well, if you got a good weapon against it, that's all good stuff. Figure out your strengths, that is important. Tip number 3. I highly suggest saving your bounties for the tail end of your weapon skill leveling progression, whatever you want to call it. All right, save your bounties for the end, because that's where the grind really starts to kick in and the fights become a lot harder. The behemoths deal more damage, they take longer to kill, and it just becomes a lot more monotonous in some cases. The grindage will probably become a little bit easier when they update and do some more quality of life changes and tweaking of the numbers, but at the moment, I would suggest saving your bounties for the tail end of your weapon skill leveling progression. And if you happen to run dry on bounty tokens, you can go ahead and hop into escalation 10 through 50 if you want to avoid the later islands in the hunting grounds. That's an additional option. And speaking of bounty tokens, the tip of the number 4 is going to be more of a reminder. Make sure to go to the Thrax little head fountain thing in Ramsgate and toss a coin to your slayer and get your freaking bounty tokens, alright? Because they're really helpful for progressing in Dauntless. Also, if you can, which everyone can, make sure to do a Slayer link with your friends. If you don't have any friends, invite random strangers and just shackle up with them, alright? Just cuff them up and get that Slayer link done, because those award a lot of freaking bounty tokens. A pretty good amount. Like, I saw some nerd get like 20 and I was like, how? Now, the last tip is gonna blow your mind. Try your best not to bring weapons with elements that are disadvantageous versus a maximum of 2 behemoths in the hunting grounds, because you don't want to be wasting all that power and being at a disadvantage versus more than half the lobby, or half the lobby in this case. It's not ideal, not suggested. The goal is to not have a weapon that is weak versus a maximum of 2 behemoths, preferably none. But, you know, sometimes you don't feel like swapping weapons. I get it. I understand. So I'm trying to be nice. And all I'm saying is if I see you rocking a weapon that's bad against half the lobby in a hunting grounds, I'm going to banner plant your body, emote a little bit, toss my flare in the sky for some self-promo action. Aw, what's up, little bitch? You hold this flare, hold this banner. Hold this flute too. Toxic? He bannered me and he didn't revive me. I at least revived him. So with that in mind, do some risk assessment and figure out what you want to do. What kind of elements you want to bring to certain fights. Other than that, I'm not really quite sure what to say. But I do have 2 more minutes to burn roughly, so let's figure it out together. What do y'all say? Great suggestion. All right. So it's important. It's not really, we're not going to call this a tip. All right. The 5 tips are done. I don't feel like adding more tips or another freaking tip on the screen. But it is important to understand the utility of mobility in the hunting grounds. All right. Learn to glide, forehead. It's my new book. Better than ninjas. Promise you. But it's important to learn to glide. And one thing here with the gliding that's pretty sick, you can spam the jump button, which is also the glide button on PC. I'm not sure what it is on consoles, but you can spam that. And sometimes you can just get a freaking full glide from the ground. Normally you can't do that, but sometimes you can. So practice that, get good at it, because it's a pretty good mobility. And on the same topic, learn how the Aether Jets are oriented, figure out which one will launch you certain ways with a height, things like that. It's not important to know this. Like, don't freaking try your hardest, make a spreadsheet and go ham, but figure out how to get some extra mobility from the Aether Jets, because they can be very useful launching you across the map, getting you from point A to point B. And from, in this case, point A is one side of the island and point B is the other side of the island. This kind of technology and strategy can max out your Sladometer charts, making you Slayer of the Month. It's really good. It's a really good idea to do this, learn how it works, and just figure out the mobility, because mobility is crucial. And what you lack in mobility, you can make up for in range. So the last thing I'll say is, in some cases, it might be helpful to have things like grenades or ranged abilities to get kill credit on behemoths you otherwise might not get if you have to run up all the way to it and hit it. Any hooser, that's the end of the video. Hopefully it helped you in some way. If it did, make sure to smash that like button, drop a comment down below if you have any, and subscribe to this channel for more gaming content if you want to. If you're feeling froggy, make sure to use credit code OhDough in the Epic Games Store. Helps me out a freaking ton. I appreciate that very greatly. Keeps the channel alive. And spaghetti on the table. Appreciate you. I stream at twitch.tv/OhDough. It's a pretty good time, some of the time. And yeah, thank y'all for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Am I the only one that gets random new players following you in hunting grounds, only making your fights longer? You got a friend. What's that song in Toy Story? You got a friend in me.